What's up, guys? Um, has anyone watched Justice League, the movie? It sucked. And not all aspects of it, because I was looking forward to it, but it just sucked. Like, how do you mess up the most iconic superhero team in the world? So, as soon as this came out, there was already calls for restore the Snyder Cut. And now we find out from reports that most of that was fueled by bots, fake accounts. No surprise there, because Snyder's interpretation of the DC superheroes was horrendous. First of all, how do you take the most iconic superhero of all times, the first superhero, that is, the superhero who's literally the person who comes in to save other superheroes, the guy who, when everything looks like it's going down sideways, comes in and you're like, you know what? We might be able to pull through this. The symbol of hope, Superman. How do you make him into a mopey emo character? Even worse, you introduce some Ayn Randian ideas. First of all, no one in philosophy likes Ayn Rand. People who like Ayn Rand aren't people who actually study philosophy. They're people who think they know philosophy and they like Ayn Rand. Her objectivism is bullshit. Okay? And whether you're trained in analytic philosophy like me, or you're trained in the more literary stuff, or the what we call continental philosophy, neither one of us like Ayn Rand. She does what we call pseudo philosophy. To introduce elements of that into your movie to make it sound deep was whack. Like, you're trying to be uh, Christopher Nolan, but you're really just blowing stuff up like a cheesy Transformers movie. And I'm not gonna say who. We know what director we're talking about here. But Zack Snyder sucks. I'm sorry, his movie sucked. Um, Ironically, most people thought that Ben Affleck was gonna suck as Batman, and he was the best aspect of the movies. Everything else sucked. Well, Wonder Woman was great too, but I don't know how much he had in the decision making of her. But she was great. But Batman versus Superman was horrible. That could have been two movies. But let's jump again to Justice League. So when Snyder left the movie, allegedly because after his daughter committed suicide, he wanted to attend to, family issues and all that sort of stuff, which I completely understand. What's kind of glossed over was that he was also let go. And his daughter uh, um, ending herself was a good reason to show why they released him on a more noble note than simply saying basically they fired him, because his vision for the DCEU was horrible. The DCEU standing for the uh, DC Entertainment Universe, which was supposed to be the counterpart to Marvel's MCU, and it just wasn't working well. Like, Man of Steel was horrible. You had the symbol of hope killing someone at the end of the movie, which I guess was supposed to show how he goes into becoming more of a Boy Scout. I don't know. But he was emo. He didn't even stop his own father from dying. Like, that was just weird as hell. Like, and then in what, Batman versus Superman, his own mother saying, save people or don't. It doesn't matter. Like, really? What? Then you get into the Justice League and they realize, okay, this is getting too dark. And that's the real reason why they let him go. Not He was let go more than likely before his daughter committed the S word. And they brought in dude from Marvel to get things going again, and it looked like two different movies, one dark, one brightly colored, and apparently this director was mistreating his actors and so forth. So it was just a huge clusterfuck, and the movie looked like it was just horrendous. And we're not going to even get into Ezra Miller. That might be a separate video. But as soon as the movie came out, it was so horrible that people were saying, let's restore the Snyder Cut. The fact of the matter was, there was never a Snyder Cut. But again, these little fake accounts and bots were trying to say that that was a lie, that they were covering up, that they just didn't want to release it. It wasn't one, because it's obvious that in 2021, when they released this Snyder version of the Justice League, they had filmed all this new stuff to make this 4-hour theatrical release of Zack Snyder's Justice League. All this stuff was with the actors coming back to film these extra parts for this movie. It was almost a completely different movie. It was better than the original theatrical release. I won't even deny that. But it was almost unlikely not to be better than the theatrical release. They would literally threw hundreds of millions of dollars at him and a carte blanche to do what he wanted to do to finish his vision of Justice League. So with his own director's cut of the movie, of course it was going to be better than the theatrical release, because they gave him enough money to do whatever he wanted, and it was a hit. And it had 4 hours, so he didn't have to pare down stuff which made certain elements of it like unintelligible, like with Batman versus Superman, which cut out certain parts of it which made the movie less appealing. Like seeing the world greatest detective get baffled by some Mark Zuckerbergian version of Lex Luthor. But anyway, so it was a lot of fake bots that went to the restore the Snyder Cut, and it's probably just as likely as many bots going into now the restore the Snyderverse, because now after the 4-hour version of Zack Snyder's Justice League was completed, now people were saying they wanted Zack Snyder to return to the DCEU to finish his vision of the DCEU, where basically the second Justice League was going to be like Endgame, with Batman dying to save everyone, a la Iron Man, Tony Stark. And for some reason, Batman knocking up Lois Lane and Superman raising his baby after he passes away. It was just going to be horrible. It was going to be like a really shitty version of Endgame. And I'm glad they didn't do it. Plus, Zack Snyder is now currently working for Netflix, making movies for them like Army of the Dead, I think, or Army of Darkness. I'm sorry, whichever it was, which was actually pretty good. He can do good zombie movies. He just can't do superhero movies. He fundamentally doesn't understand what makes superheroes, judging by how he treated both Batman and Superman. Okay. Wonder Woman was good because he was merely producing that movie. He didn't direct it. The second Wonder Woman sucked, though. I don't know what the hell, but that's another story as well. The Flash, I don't know if he has any producing credits with that. So anyway, I was rambling. But yeah, the Joss Whedon version of Justice League left much to be desired. The 2021 version of the Zack Snyder cut was better, but doesn't merit restoring this so-called Snyderverse in the DCEU. Let it just go forward with whatever they're doing, which is still honestly subpar to Marvel. Although they've caught up in some ways, because Marvel's in this Phase 4 isn't that great. But again, not a big surprise that the Snyder Cut campaign was fueled largely by a bunch of bots on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So We'll see what's going to happen with the DCEU now. Looks like there's been somewhat of a course correction. The new person they brought in said we need to bring back Superman and Henry Cavill to play him. And I don't know what they're going to do with Batman, but the new version was decent, although not great. I don't know if Ben Affleck is going to come back or what's going to happen going forward. But the Joker 2 being a musical sounds cringe. So we'll see. But I'm just a contrarian, guys.